बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम, अस्सलाम वालेकुम। मेरा नाम शादिया शहबाज है। I have been leading multiple people in human resources roles in national and multinational organizations for last more than 1.5 decade.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. I'm really excited to share with you that today we have a wonderful HR professional with us. I'll tell her name very shortly, but initially, as per her introduction, she has worked and led HR function for multiple organizations. She also worked for the banking industry. Mostly her career had been associated with pharmaceutical, and lately she had been heading HR for a textile industry. So let's welcome Saira Halaya Chandrigar with us. Thank you very much for making it, and a very warm welcome.
Thank you so much, Asya. Thank you for having me.
Wonderful. So आपसे तो इंट्रोडक्शन ज़्यादा हमारा HR के हवाले से तो रहेगा ही, लेकिन initially if you can just like to share anything कि how it feels to be in HR and leading HR. Is it a good thing? Is it kind of hard thing to absorb by people?
So it feels good to be in a leadership position where I can drive change, where I can make a difference, and that's what, when you get into a leadership position, one should try and do is have that right influence. Yeah. So yes, it feels good. In terms of being in HR, I think HR जो है ना वो it's a place where you can be, where you can drive things if you have that passion to drive things. And in terms of, say, making policies, having the right structure, giving people parameters within which to operate. So it's not just like everybody's doing what they're doing. And also we all know, and we talk about it too much, there was a time when HR was personnel, and we've progressed from there a lot. But I think COVID has made HR take leaps, literally. Leaps in the sense that जो HR करना चाहता था. And I'll give you my own example. I was heading diversity at HPL, right? So I wanted to do a lot of things in terms of flexi working or part-time and stuff like that. And trust me, Shazia, it was a big challenge. It was a big challenge because ऐसे पहले कभी नहीं हुआ था, right? Flexi जब हमने introduce किया, and that was coming in 2 hours late and leaving 2 hours late. Simple flexi. I had to answer so many people. हमने सिर्फ pilot किया, फिर हमने उनको review किया, फिर क्या, so बहुत एक लंबा चक्कर था. I said HR में करें, so I got a big pushback कि as relationship managers, you guys need to be in office. You can't not be there for your customers. COVID आया और हमने हर चीज़ वर्क फ्रॉम होम की करवाई, सब कुछ कर लिया. Worked it so well. So COVID gave us HR people वो जो है ना वो jumping board. It gave us that jumping board to do what we wanted to have the chance to lead, to take care of people. We signed up a lot for helping our employees through COVID. उनके parents के लिए हमने किया. Mental health के लिए हमने चीज़ें sign up की, and good, very good initiatives. So HR, it feels good. It feels very good when you can do such things for employees and for their well-being. And that's I think that's exactly our role. That you make the culture, you make the place such, you give them an environment where they thrive and they want to give back more than what they get. तो यही चीज़ है.
Very, very wonderfully you put that. And I mean, the sense of being in HR and then leading things and seeing things happen that you actually have in your mind. COVID ने for sure you mentioned very rightly कि बहुत चीज़ें revolution हमारे पास बहुत सारी हुई हैं कि हम we used to think about many things, but उसने हमें opportunity दी. I can see your career that you started from different functions, and I think gradually you had landed then in HR. पहले सवाल तो ये है कि like have you thought कि हाँ मैं HR में like it will be a career for you, या it's something that you've explored? Because जो लोग हमें सुन रहे होंगे, आपको पता है हर कोई कहीं ना कहीं से करियर शुरू करता है, लेकिन कहीं ना कहीं पे रियलाइजेशन का फेज आता है. How was your journey?
Okay, so as far as my journey is concerned, I did not think that HR, this is what I want to make my field. I don't know, this might be news to you, but I started working right after I did my bachelor's.
Oh, great.
Yeah. And I just had this thing कि बस job कर लूँ. So the day I got my result, my friend and I हमने अपने CVs print किए और हम चुंदरीगढ़ रोड पे चले गए और हमने हर जगह अपने CVs ड्रॉप कर दिए. ठीक है, उस वक्त ज़रा हार्ड कॉपी का टाइम था. And I got a call from American Express and it was a contractual sales position and I said, चलो ठीक है, यही ले लेते हैं, बड़ा मजे के. So I took that up. It was a good organization. It was, the place, one of the nice names, etc. I started. I did sales. I did credit. I did customer service. I did a lot of those things.
Wow.
ठीक है ना? फिर एक आई मेरे पास opportunity Engro से. And I was like, okay, Engro is also the place, and it was their first joint venture that they did with a Dutch company. ठीक है ना? तो अब वो Engro भी थी, वो multinational भी हो गई थी, so no thought. So I jumped for it. I applied. I got the position. वो admin type position थी. मैंने कहा ठीक है, Engro है, हो जाएगा. हमारे पास 2 कमरों से बीच लग्जरी में हम ऑपरेट करते थे. And as I kept working, I realized that I want to, and I always wanted to do this, that I wanted to pursue my education. So I did my MA. And I realized कि ठीक है, पढ़ते रहो. MA में मैंने बहुत आराम से पास कर लिया था. There was just no big deal. So I went forward. Then I did my MBA. I did it while I worked. And as luck would have it, मैं उस वक्त, as I started with admin and then Engro में एक role आई थी for procurement. And they said, सायरा आप ये कर लें. तो मैंने कहा ज़रूर. I just took it up. I was like, okay, something more different and new. So I took up the procurement, and then it was HR. So while I was doing the HR role, and that's the time that I was doing my MBA और मेरा majors का time आया था. So I selected HR as my majors.
All right.
And that was my turning point. That was my point where I said, okay, HR is it, because I'm enjoying what I'm doing. I've made my education in HR, and then I harmonized both of them, and that was it.
Wonderful. I think so it's actually a gradual process that you landed in. What would you say? I think that's a key thing that you just mentioned. कि you tried to explore your career. You didn't know where you want to go, but you just stepped out and you went there.
Yeah.
आपको पहले उन्होंने कहा sales में आ जाए. You were happy, you did that, and then you moved to administration, and you also moved to procurement. I can see there are like 3 different functions that you have, and you embrace that. कोई इसमें आपका कोई लर्निंग है आप कहेंगी जिससे आपने वाकई समझते हैं कि इट हैज़ बीन अ की फैक्टर फॉर यू टू ग्रो इन द इनिशियल लेवल ऑफ योर करियर? बिकॉज अब जब नई नई अपॉर्चुनिटीज आती हैं, अक्सर ऐसा होता है कि हम शुरू में समझते नहीं ये तो मेरा एरिया नहीं है. तो व्हाट वाज द थॉट बिहाइंड दैट कि आपने ऐसा नहीं किया, आपने सोचा कि नहीं ठीक है वट एवर इज कमिंग इन?
शौक. मुझे शौक था कि मैं कुछ करती रहूँ, मेक सम गुड यूज ऑफ फॉर माई सेल्फ एंड नॉट to just let life pass by. Right? And adding to my earlier response, I would say that a lot of children these days, a lot of students, I won't call them kids, but a lot of students these days, they decide they specialize, they go into something, and then they start working and then they realize that this is not the field that I want, and then they change. So I think mine was started the flow and then I picked. So, round about the same thing, but I picked also around the same time, क्योंकि ये लोग start कर लेते हैं, then they might realize कि ठीक है HR नहीं, मुझे supply chain करना है. Yeah, I've seen a lot of students who do engineering, for instance, and then they say no, I think my field is art, and I've actually seen those people, and then they just move. So much time and money spent on something like that, but they move. So for me, like coming back to your current question, बस ये एक शौक था कि बस मुझे काम करना है. I have to do things, and I just did whatever came my way. And I would say, if you said that आप क्या reason थी, बस मुझे था कि I have to do it well. I have to do it well, and I did whatever. So there was, for more than a year and a half, I think, when I was at Engro, I was posted at Podcastim. तो मैं चाहती थी. I was the only female in my organization at Podcastim. And admin is what I looked after. तो वो ड्राइवर भी सुबह कॉल कर रहे हैं कि जी मैडम स्ट्राइक हो गई, हो गई. तो क्या हुआ? कोई चीज़ मुश्किल नहीं होती अगर आप करना चाहें तो आप करें. और फिर उसमें एक लर्निंग होती है बहुत अच्छी.
And over the time, you have, mashallah, grown to the new director HR level. क्या कहेंगे अगर HR के function को थोड़ी देर के लिए being the expert on that topic, what would you say कि what has changed over the time when you started as a kind of beginner in HR, and till the level you got to the director. So कुछ changes आए हैं, कुछ shift आए हैं, what has gone, what has just got in this function?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, I think HR has come a long way. HR has now got a proper good seat at the table,
leadership level or
at the table next to देखिए दो लोग होते हैं CEO के, एक आपका head of finance होता है, एक आपका head of HR. Okay, because finance obviously is most critical because that's what the organization is there for. But who makes the money in the organization? The people that work for you.
Yeah.
So if HR is aligned, well, business and HR have to be aligned. So HR has now got a good seat at the table. HR can influence a lot of work, that things that need to be done, and there's a lot of talk about culture.
Yeah.
The environment,
Yeah.
And those kind of things that we have. So who plays that role? ठीक है, ये चीज़ जो है वो top driven होती है, but who brings about that change? Who brings in the right framework to deliver and for people to work in that kind of parameter? Get the right people, nurture the right people. It's HR. So a lot has changed in that way, that HR का role काफ़ी नुमाया हो गया है. And again, coming back to especially after COVID, it's made even more. The other thing that has changed organizationally or with time is your new generation. And their mindset and their thinking. They want quick gratification. Right? But देखें, as the conversation keeps coming up, that they hop for a few thousand. I think it's not only the money. They will now look for good work environment, some things that suit them in terms of flexible working, in terms of क्या कहते हैं, part time हो गया, कुछ हो गया. So they are looking for a different kind of things. That's what HR in some organizations now has come forward and is bringing about that change. So those are the changes, and for the progressive HR people, they've brought about that change. There are people now, they're trying to come forward and bring about similar things in their organizations as well, because it's imperative. You cannot function on the 9 to 5 clock in, clock out if you want the new generation. It used to be a thing of the past. इसी तरह से function होते थे. But आप देखें how many new fresh blood is, how happy is the fresh blood doing that? Clocking in, clocking out. Not very thrilled. They will do it because a lot of people need the job, but they'll do it for a while. They might not do it very happily, but कर रहे हैं सब. लेकिन अगर आपको एक अपने आप को differentiate करना है, then bring about that change. Trust people and let them deliver. And that's, the change that HR in a lot of places is driving and should be driving if it's not.
So thank you for saying it. In fact, आप दो तीन चीज़ें जो कहीं वो एक culture के बारे में आपने बात की है, and you also talked about work environment. You are very right with that. And हमने भी देखा experience में, आपने भी देखा, and you have just mentioned that कि it's not always only the salary thing जो कि आपको bother कर रही होती है if you got the good work environment or the culture thing. अच्छा, कल्चर का जो वर्ड है, इसमें मैं दो तीन चीज़ें आपसे जरूर जानना चाहूँगी. थोड़ा बर्निंग डिस्कशन भी होता है बहुत इसके ऊपर. इज़ द कल्चर इज़ ओनली कॉल ऑफ HR, या इसमें आप कितना ओनर्स समझते हैं कि HR का होता है, या कितना ओनर्स जो है वो, मे बी यू कॉल इट CEO, यू कॉल इट मैनेजमेंट, यू कॉल इट द ओनर ऑफ द ऑर्गेनाइजेशन. कैसे डिवाइड करेंगे इस ओनर्स को, कहाँ ज़्यादा है?
देखिए, जो हम एक चीज़ कहते थे ना कि एवरी मैनेजर इज़ एन HR मैनेजर. ठीक है, आई मीन यू मस्ट हैव डेफिनेटली हर्ड दिस.
जी.
राइट. So in the similar manner, every person is a contributor to the culture of the organization. Right? Now where does HR come in? HR is the one who drives this, who drives these initiatives. आपकी values कौन बनाता है? I mean, कमरे में बैठकर तो HR नहीं बनाता, but HR gives you that forum where the values are developed. They help put the values together. And what are those values? Those are the values by which you want your organization to function and you want it to run. Right? So that's one thing. ठीक है. आपने मुझे कल्चर का मजीद क्या पूछा था?
मैंने ये पूछा कि ये क्या HR ही की कॉल होती है या इसमें मैनेजमेंट का कितना रोल होता है, क्योंकि ये एक से बड़ा डिस्कशन है ना, डिस्कस नहीं होता।
देखिए कॉल ऊपर से टॉप ड्रिवन होता है, अगर आपका CEO की इसमें बाय नहीं है तो सारे लोग अच्छे होंगे, लेकिन अगर आपको ऊपर से गलत मार पड़ रही होगी या गलत डायरेक्शन मिल रहा होगा, सो यू देन हैव टू फॉलो, एंड दैट विल create a culture or environment that is required by the top management, but not something that everybody would be very happy to do. Okay, people stick on because they need to stay on, but oftentimes they are very disgruntled. Right? So इसमें HR का role बहुत strong होता है to bring in those values, to bring in initiatives where people are able to work in a nice, conducive environment, to bring in policies that help the employees to work to their best, right? I don't know if you want me to already talk about policies in terms of...
No, please go ahead.
Family-friendly policies. Female policies good for females. It's HR. You know, it's not any female who will stand up and say कि ये policy बना दें. It's HR who has to see the need and then put in something that is great for everybody. So yes, HR is right at the driving seat of this, but I think it is top management buy-in that is important to drive this also.
यहाँ पे ये जो ना डिस्कशन बहुत ज़रूरी, मैं चाहूँगी आपका, यू गॉट माशाल्लाह वंडरफुल एक्सपीरियंस एंड देन डायरेक्ट लेवल, ठीक है। आपकी बात सही है, कल्चर में एवरी मैनेजर हैज़ अ रोल एंड HR इज डेफिनेटली द ड्राइविंग फोर्स होती है जो कि इनेबल करता है सबको करने के लिए। एंड यू वेरी करेक्टली सेड कि जी एवरीथिंग इज़ गुड, लेकिन अगर मैनेजमेंट का बाय नहीं है इन सर्टन सिचुएशंस, ठीक है, अगर आप सीनियर पोजीशन के ऊपर हैं एंड यू आर लीडिंग HR, व्हाट विल योर टिप्स टू द पीपल, HR पीपल, कि वो क्या कर सकते हैं? क्या ये मुनासिब होता है कि ठीक है जी मैनेजमेंट का बाय नहीं है एंड यू श्रग ऑफ एंड यू जस्ट सिट एंड वेट, या क्या कर सकते हैं? कुछ तो ऐसा कर सकते होंगे ना जो एक जिम्मेदारी को आप अपना अदा कर सकते हैं।
हाँ बिल्कुल आप कर सकते हैं। देखिए मैनेजमेंट बाय इन आप किस तरह से लेते हैं? वो कहेगा कि जी मुझे कल्चर XYZ ऐसा ही चाहिए, नहीं। There are a lot of things that can be done still that don't need to have that stamp. Okay, you do engagement activities. You keep your employees engaged. You keep them involved with what they do. You keep them happy. You enhance the communication within your departments or within your own function. Enhanced communication, I think, is very key. It's very important to have a conducive work environment. ठीक है ना? We can't work in silos. Right? So being HR, you can bring in that change. ठीक है? Functionally, there has to be like once a week a meeting at the second tier level. ये हो जाए आपकी, आपने engagement sessions करवा दिए, आपने अपने KPIs में जो है वो behavioral based KPIs करवा दिए, right? So very importantly, what happens then that you are marking people on behaviors that of course as HR, लेकिन टिक तो आपने लेना पड़ेगा ना, या head of HR से या आपके head of organization से, right? But these are things that are important and they're not difficult to do. You bring in that behavioral segment. You explain to people what are those actions that are driving the behaviors and what are required, and then you have sessions. You tell people how they can rate people, their employees on these behaviors. Automatically the betterment starts coming. क्योंकि अगर मैं आपको किसी चीज़ पर रेट कर रही हूँ communication पर, you can't continue to work in a silo. You will not get rated very well, right? So those are some of the things that HR can still do.
अच्छा, एक बड़ा मिसकंसेप्शन होता है इस वाले से, हम आप भी जानती होंगी कि जब हम इंगेजमेंट एक्टिविटीज़ की बात करते हैं या कुछ चेंज करने की बात करते हैं, फॉर एग्जांपल फ्लेक्सी टाइमिंग एंड ऑल, जो सबसे पहले जहन में ख्याल ये आता है कि शायद इससे कोई कॉस्ट पड़ जाती है कंपनी को। क्या वाकई कोई कॉस्ट अकरिंग किस्म की चीज़ें होती है करने की, या लाइक इट्स डूएबल?
There are certain companies today who have gone to a 4-day work week.
Yeah.
Right? And some big names. I mean, I just heard, I heard of P&G and you may sing this, I just heard of it. And what does that give you? It doesn't give them less profitability. It doesn't give them a better bottom line, worse bottom line. ठीक है? They continue to deliver. आप मुझे बताएं कि आप एक पोजीशन पर होती हैं, आप घर जाके काम करना बंद कर देती हैं, जब ज़रूरत होती है तो करते हैं हम, वीकेंड्स पे भी कर लेते हैं और शाम को भी कर लेते हैं, राइट? सो वी कंटिन्यू टू वर्क. Similarly, if you're not working on a Friday, it's not like you locked up your laptop and you're never going to open it until it's Monday morning. So, but people feel so refreshed that they want to finish off what they're doing. They need to complete things. I'll give you my own example. The time till I had 2-day weekend.
Yeah.
Saturday for me was a complete catch-up day. ठीक है, पिछला पूरा कर लिया, आगे का प्लान कर लिया, जो चीज़ फिनिश ऑफ करनी थी वो सारी हो गई. छुट्टी थी मेरी, लेकिन मुझे मज़ा आता था because then I would start the week fresh and I would like go full throttle. But when I had Saturday working, I never came to that level. I never did because टाइम ही नहीं होता था. संडे तो इतना कीमती हो जाता है फिर कि हमने तब कुछ नहीं खोलना होता, right? So
very relevant example.
So to come back to your question and to answer it more accurately, no, it does. I will surely say that there is no cost to the company. It is in fact more of a benefit because देखें, आपने ये देखा होगा जिंदगी में कि जब आप कुछ देते हैं ना दिल खोलकर, आपको डबल उसके वापस मिलता है.
True.
Right?
True.
So I think it's very true, and these companies to this level would never be doing it if they hadn't seen the cost benefit analysis and they hadn't worked it out in that manner.
Yeah. Very right. I think आपने बहुत I mean relatable thing that you just mentioned कि हाँ, it's not, अगर ऐसे ही हो रहा होता तो जो ऑर्गेनाइजेशन की प्रैक्टिस कर रही है तो ऐसा तो नहीं कि वो प्रॉफिटेबिलिटी उन्होंने छोड़ दी है, ज़्यादा ही हो रही होगी. ठीक है, अभी थोड़ी देर पहले आपने एक बात की थी जो एक बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट फैक्टर है परफॉर्मेंस मैनेजमेंट का. जनरली हमने भी देखा है कि जब परफॉर्मेंस मैनेजमेंट में हम एक डिटो फॉर्मेट फॉलो कर रहे होते हैं. आई मीन नॉट द हर ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में नहीं, लेकिन ज़्यादातर एट एवरेज ये हो रहा होता है कि हम एक सर्टन पैरामीटर्स होते हैं उनको देख रहे होते हैं. आपने एक बात की बिहेवियरल रेटिंग की. आपके एक्सपीरियंस में आया है कि जब भी हम परफॉर्मेंस में बिहेवियर को लेकर आते हैं, लाइक दैट बिकम्स अ चंक एंड दैट इज रेटेड, हाउ डज दैट हेल्प इन ऑर्गेनाइजेशन? कल्चर को कह लें आप, कैसे हेल्प करता है अगर हम बिहेवियर को परफॉर्मेंस मैनेजमेंट का पार्ट बना देते हैं एंड दैट इज ऑल्सो बीइंग इवैल्यूएटेड, रेटेड, हाउ डज दैट हेल्प इन द कल्चर?
Well, the behaviors that one puts into their KPIs are based on your values.
Yeah.
Right? Now, when I'm rating someone on their behaviors which are linked to the values, उसको पता है कि उन 6 चीज़ों पर उसकी रेटिंग होनी है. ठीक है, उसने ऑटोमेटिकली उन चीज़ों को अच्छा करना है. अगर जो मैनेजर है, he or she will ensure, and if they're giving good feedback, continuous feedback, that conversation must go on. It will not only go on about you have not completed this, your timeline is almost over, जी आपका 2 हफ्ते रह गए हैं, आप निकल जाएगा. It will be that, look, I don't see the kind of collaborative behavior that we should be having. You need to reach out and you need to look into more teamwork or whatever it might be. Because the communication will also then start revolving around those things that have been penned down. Once the communication starts revolving around those things, automatically the awareness and the need to better those things will fall into place. जब मैं उस चीज़ की बात ही नहीं करूँगी आपसे, तो आप वही करेंगी जो आपने करना है, right? But if I tell you and if I bring it to light and then you also realize, maybe आप बात से ही समझ जाएंगे, ठीक है, ना समझे, but maybe also realize कि है इसमें 20% तो मेरे मार्क्स इसी के हैं, right? So उस पे आप थोड़ा सा तवज्जो दे देंगी, so in that way things can kind of become better.
And वो behavior जो ऐसा ऐसा sum up होता है तो that adds to your culture, right?
Yes, exactly.
एक और चीज़ values की आपने बात की. You would also I think agree with me कि not every organization but majority दफ़ा ऐसा होता है कि values हम कहते हैं कंपनी की values हैं जो किसी किताब में कहीं लिखी हुई होती हैं या कहीं किसी दीवार पे लिखी हुई होती हैं. Generally if you ask people so they don't know. क्या होती हैं values, क्यों होती हैं, ये बहुत ज़रूरी चीज़ है I think for the HR people to know and your words will definitely matter कि अगर values अव्वल हैं या नहीं है, होनी चाहिए, होती हैं तो what's the best use of those values in the culture thing? What's the connection?
Like a very simple way of seeing it is think about your home, right? Think about your children, right? Do you teach them to lie? Never, right? You always teach them कि सच बात बोलो. Do you teach them to help others?
Yes.
Okay, what are those things? Those are values. ठीक है, वो आपके अंदर है ना वो values, और वो आप उनको सिखा रही हैं, और उनको वो आप you also show them by behavior, by your own actions, and they learn by your actions.
Yeah.
So those are values that are converted to behaviors in the home place.
Yeah,
The
right.
similar thing is what we have work values, right? A lot of places just do have those values on the wall. ठीक है, लेकिन लोग कोशिश कर रहे हैं कि उससे आगे बढ़ें, और कुछ ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस में मैंने काम किया है जहाँ वो वैल्यूज़ जो हैं वो एक्शनेबल बिहेवियर्स में हमने ट्रांसलेट किए हैं, लोगों को समझाया है. एंड देन what we also did was that we not only converted them to a actionable behavior, but we converted and we said, what does this behavior translate to for a mid to junior level person? How should he be enacting?
To what
in
level
that?
of
Yes. What does it translate to for a middle level and senior level? ठीक है, तो अगर आप सीनियर हैं तो आपने एग्जिबिट भी करनी है, आपने डिस्प्ले भी करनी है, आपने टीच भी करनी है. अगर आप मिडिल हैं तो आपने किसी और लेवल तक उसको करना है, एंड देन जूनियर हैं तो यू जस्ट नीड टू डू और act those behaviors. So we converted each one of those values into behaviors and how to translate the behaviors to mid, junior and senior level employees. So yeah, that's what values does. Once you start understanding them, just like I gave you the home example, so the exact same thing is in your workplace.
Yeah.
Right? How do you want people to treat your colleagues with respect?
Yeah.
Right? How do you want them to get on with their work aggressively, detail oriented, everything. So those are values. You want excellence.
Yeah.
Right? At the workplace, you want excellence, and one of your values might be excellence, or
could be innovating things, and maybe the integrity thing that we talk about. Yeah. ये आपने बिल्कुल सही कहा, और आपने जो लास्ट बात की है कि आप जब सीनियर पोजीशन पे होते हैं तो आपकी एक्सपेक्टेशन, ऑर्गेनाइजेशन की एक्सपेक्टेशन आपसे ये होती है कि वट एवर द एक्सपेक्टेशंस आर, तो आप उन वैल्यूज़ को प्रैक्टिस भी करेंगे, आप उनको सिखाएंगे भी. आपको लगता है कि इस तरह से करने से अगर ये कल्चर रिपीटेटिवली ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में हो तो यू ऑल्सो गेट एबल टू हैव द डिज़ायर्ड लीडरशिप इन योर ऑर्गेनाइजेशन? डज इट हेल्प दैट?
Sorry, I didn't understand. How do you get it?
ये जो वैल्यूज़ की बात करें कि वैल्यूज़ का प्रैक्टिस करते रहते हैं एंड देन बिहेवियर में आहिस्ता आहिस्ता का पार्ट बनती चली जाती हैं, यू ट्रांसलेट इनटू द बिहेवियर्स. सो डज इट ऑल्सो हेल्प द ऑर्गेनाइजेशन टू हैव द लीडर्स दे लाइक, दे वांट टू हैव और दे नीड इन द ऑर्गेनाइजेशन?
Yes, because अच्छा, very often even in your interview rating, अगर आप लीडर्स अगर आप सेलेक्ट भी करें लोगों को, वो तो फिर आपके बिहेवियर्स भी वहाँ पर होते हैं, द वैल्यूज़ दैट यू वांट एंड यू वांट टू असेस इन पीपल, they would also be there, right? And also when you're promoting people, there are things that you have down there that you want to see in the person that you're promoting. Does he exhibit the right value? Does he exhibit the ability to lead culture the way we want it to be in the organization? So yes, it would translate to that.
I think this also would link to another question that I would like to ask you, because you have been to a more senior HR level. जब आप लीडरशिप लेवल पे आपने बात की, डिफरेंट तरह के असेसमेंट होती हैं, लाइक अगर अपने प्रमोशन के लिए असेसमेंट करना है, और मे बी यू आर हायरिंग समवन फ्रॉम द एक्सटर्नल सोर्सेज. जब लीडरशिप लेवल पे आप किसी को देखते हैं तो बिहेवियर में हाउ मच दैट मैटर्स टू यू टू एज एन ऑर्गेनाइजेशन? रीज़न बिहाइंड, बिकॉज द वन हु विल बी कमिंग विल बी हैविंग अ लीडरशिप लेवल. जनरली हमने देखा है कि आप ए कैटेगरी की बात करते हैं, या जो हम लीडर्स को देखते हैं तो या तो कुछ लीडर्स ऐसे होते हैं कि जो ए होते हैं अपनी स्किल, टेक्निकल स्किल्स, कैपेबिलिटीज़, एंड द बिहेवियर इज़ वेरी हम्बल. ऑन द अदर पार्ट देयर इज समवन ए प्लस इन दी स्किल्स एंड टेक्निकल क्वालिटीज़ एंड एवरीथिंग, बट बिहेवियर में थोड़ा सा फिर अनईजी हो जाते हैं लोगों के साथ काम करने में. व्हाट्स यू टेक इट, हाउ डू यू टेक इट फ्रॉम द ऑर्गेनाइजेशन परस्पेक्टिव?
Okay, so again, it depends on how strong the organization is. How much we value these things. And I will tell you, in one of my organizations, we have released people next to top due to their behaviors.
Okay.
Right? जी आपको कोई harassment complaint आए या कोई funny remarks की complaint आए, आपने investigate किया, पता लगा कि ठीक है, this is the third time that this person has done something very loose. That is not what you want to promote. And we have not on this particular one, but on something which is much stronger in standing. We have released good senior people, right? And that is my belief, very strong belief as well, कि अगर आपकी कोई आपका यकीन है कि ये नहीं होना चाहिए, and if you sit and tolerate it, then what are you doing?
Yeah.
What really is your use of being present over there? And how will I make the change? And what will somebody see? What am I showing? That I'm showing it's fine? Is it fine if you do it because you're very senior? But अगर छोटा करेगा तो वो बुरा है नहीं, you know. So that is very important, that these things need to be harmonized across the organization. ये सबके लिए एक standard चीज़ होनी चाहिए कि operating parameters.
And I think that's how you create that trust. You earn the trust as an organization over the time. Right?
Exactly. That it's not because somebody is junior. That though is completely killing your organization. You know.
Okay, sir. आपके presence का फायदा उठाते हुए आपसे जानेंगे कि like how it feels like to be, आपने HR का तो जिक्र किया कि to be at the HR leadership level. How easy to be for a female to be at the leadership level? Is it easy? It is difficult? Like how you see it?
It's not very easy. It's not very easy because we had talked a little while back about the challenges that females face, or क्या होती हैं चीज़ें. देखिए, females, it's a normal thing कि जी they will get married, they will have children, and generally the norm is that the female has to spend more time taking care of the child.
Yeah.
Right? तो ये एक challenge है, right? And what happens is a lot of their male colleagues have a problem because they feel that जी अच्छा ये तो शादी कर लेंगी, फिर ये चली जाएंगी, इनको क्यों ये लोग ज़्यादा वो लिफ्ट दे रहे हैं, ज़्यादा इसकी प्रोमोटेबिलिटी क्यों हो रही है, ये मंगनी भी हुई है इसकी, so I mean there is very and a lot of these things don't come outside, but underlying is very much there. So this is at your junior level or mid level that these things happen. As you go up the ladder also, the challenges don't stop. Women, I feel, have to prove themselves much more, right? And they have to kind of stand up and they have to deliver to a different level to be taken very seriously, right? And it's nice to see we have a lot of women now at senior positions and who are being taken seriously. लेकिन ये आसान नहीं है, ये आसान बिल्कुल भी नहीं है. Until you have policies, you have processes, you have people that support you through these things. So
बहुत सही कहा आपने. अच्छा, आपने बात की कि जब एक फीमेल लीडरशिप पे आप होते हैं तो आपको बहुत, आई थिंक कैन से यू कैन मे बी मल्टीप्लाई इट विद व्हाटएवर नंबर कि आपको ज़्यादा प्रूफ करना पड़ता है. इज़ इट सो कि ये डिस्कशन भी अक्सर होता है कि जैसे हम स्कूल कॉलेजेस में होते हैं तो होता है कि जी अगर लड़कियों के नंबर अच्छा है तो ये होता है कि हाँ जी देखा ये सर तो लड़कियों को अच्छे मार्क्स देते हैं. इस तरह का एक फ़न होता है शुरू से. लाइटर नोट पर डिस्कशन होते हैं, लेकिन ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में भी बहुत दफ़ा ऐसा होता है कि फीमेल्स नो मैटर वॉट एवर द एफर्ट दे हैव मेड एंड दे इफ आउट ऑफ सो मैनी पीपल दे गॉट अप टू द हाईएस्ट लेवल, तो उसको भी थोड़ा सा टाइम लगता है उस सीरियसनेस को समझने के लिए कि येस देयर हैज़ बीन अ लॉट ऑफ एफर्ट बिहाइंड दैट. It's not that it's a female thing that has made her to go up to that level. So anything that you would like to add on this comment?
Well, I'll come back, and I think I'm probably going around in circles, going to say the same thing. Again, जो आपने कहा स्कूल कॉलेज में होती हैं कमेंट्स, ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस में भी होती हैं, मैंने खुद भी देखी हैं. But those are organizations which haven't gone through this change, which haven't accepted the gender requirement or need, and they haven't come to that level where they have those anti-harassment things. This kind of commenting is harassment. Okay, this is doesn't go very easily. So वो ऐसी organizations हैं. A lot of organizations have overcome these things, and the men know that no loose comments. It's not going to get us anywhere. फंस जाएंगे. ये हैं लोगों के दिलों में होती हैं, अब थोड़ी सी कम निकलती हैं.
सही, बिल्कुल सही. अच्छा, आपकी अपनी सक्सेस जर्नी की तरफ आते हैं माशाल्लाह से. यू स्टार्टेड एज अ करियर फ्रॉम द बिगिनर लेवल एंड यू वेंट अप टू द आई मीन मोर सीनियर लेवल. सायरा की क्या ऐसी स्किल थी या स्ट्रेंथ थी दैट हैज़ मेड हर टू गो अप टू दैट लेवल? आई एम श्योर द जर्नी वुड हैव नॉट बीन दैट ईजियर. Definitely there will be a lot of milestones came in. How did you make it? The constant factor, the constant strength that had kept you going.
Well, perseverance and delivering to the best to whatever I was doing. Right? As we started in the beginning, जी admin कर लिया, ठीक है कर लिया, functions भी करने थे, podcast में भी चले जाने, मतलब जो करना है वो दिल लगाकर अच्छी तरह से करना है, ठीक है. So that was one of my things, and just take up whatever is coming my way. Don't shy away. So I never did, right? And I always felt that I needed to do more. Like I told you, I did my MA and it was not good enough because मैंने 5-year paper देखकर पास कर लिया था, तो उससे मेरा क्या होता? So then I did my MBA because it was for me that I wanted to have this learning and I wanted to move ahead. So perseverance, I would say. And grabbing opportunities as they came my way, right? तो मेरे ख्याल से यही मैं कहूँगी. अगर हो सकता है कुछ लोग कहें कि जी लक, लेकिन सुनते तो सभी हैं कि जी कोई पोजीशन खुली हुई है, लेकिन you know, do you feel that you are good enough for it? And yeah, so coming to that one, I think females का ये भी एक point है जो वो कहते हैं कि जी when a gentleman feels that he's 50 to 60% okay for something, he would put his hand up.
Yeah.
But the female has to be 90%, 95% convinced that सारे पैरामीटर्स फुलफिल कर रही है, फिर हाथ ऊपर करती है, ठीक है. मेरे ख्याल से मैं कुछ 70% पर अपना हैंड अप करके आई वुड जंप इनटू इट, एंड ऑटोमेटिकली देयर वुड बी रास्ते खुल जाते हैं आपके जब आप लग जाएं. मतलब मैं आपको एक मज़े का किस्सा बताऊं कि व्हेन आई जॉइंड सनोफी, I had never worked with a union in a unionized environment, and they said कोई बात नहीं, कोई अभी agreement ख़त्म हो जाएगा और अगले तो 2 साल बाद आएगा. मैंने ज्वाइन किया और जो आदमी agreement देख रहा था उसने छोड़ दिया. Okay, I sat across table with all 10 unionized men, alone me, first time, और बहुत मुझे मज़ा आया. मतलब वो मुझे कहते थे मैडम हाँ कुछ कह नहीं सकते क्योंकि आप फीमेल हैं. So you know, so you earn that respect when you behave in a particular manner. So whatever came my way, I could have said that look, I didn't sign up for this. आपने कहा था 2 साल बाद. मैंने तो उस लर्निंग को बहुत एंजॉय किया और मैंने किया और मेरी उनके साथ बहुत अच्छे ताल्लुकात हैं, ठीक है. So just that's me. That whatever I want to do, I will, whatever I put my hand into, I will do it मज़े से all through.
Wonderful. अच्छा, कुछ गलतियाँ भी कभी कभी होती हैं करियर के शुरू में होती हैं आपसे. लाइक आपको लगता है कि करियर के शुरू में जैसे आजकल के बच्चों से अगर आप रिलेट करें जो लाइक आई मीन नॉट बच्चे जो बिगिनर्स आर ज्वाइनिंग द ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस, कहाँ आप लगती हैं कि आपके सामने भी एक्सपीरियंस रहा होगा एमटी प्रोग्राम्स में, इंटर्नशिप प्रोग्राम्स में? व्हाट आर द कॉमन ट्रेट्स दैट यू हैव सीन आउट ऑफ दोज यंग ग्रेड्स दैट मेड देम सक्सेसफुल, and what are something that you think that you should advise them?
Okay, so and that's obviously that one thing that I would go across कि जी नहीं था और कुछ में है, and that thing that I personally have seen is that people don't really get their hands dirty with what they're doing. A lot of new generation people, and I will not generalize because there are some excellent people as well, but a lot of them also do a top level काम, surface level. You need to get in, you need to understand, and you need to love what you're doing, right? So that would be my advice to them, that जो भी कर रहे हो आप, जिस वक्त तक you are employed with an organization and you're getting even 5 rupees from them, you have to give in everything, right? You have to do your best. If you don't like that organization, quit. It's okay. और मिल जाएंगी चीज़ें, लेकिन हाथ कंधे करें, काम में घुसें और अच्छी तरह से समझ कर डिलीवर करें. You know, be passionate about whatever you're doing. And there are some people and they're very successful. There are some who haven't found what is their passion. Never mind. But you are in a role right now. So do that fully. Another door will open, then move on, right? But so that is what I have seen. That is what I would caution the new generation, and also to be patient. I feel that there is this impatience, hyper energy, impatience to move ahead and do more. ठीक है, do more करें, बहुत अच्छा है, बहुत अच्छी चीज़ें कर रहे हैं आज की generation. I think, you know, and way more than what we did, because we were very structured and aligned, and they can do 5 different things and 10 different things. But if you're in an organization, and we're talking about organization perspective, then also deep dive, focus properly and into your work and deliver. And वो नज़र आता है, you will succeed for that.
That's a wonderful tip that you've given. इसके साथ एक चीज़ जुड़ी होती है कि जब तक हाइपर एनर्जी की बात की ना, तो वो स्टूडेंट्स या जो हम नए नए ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में आते हैं, तो आई थिंक हमारे साथ एक टाइम फ्रेम होता है. वो कुड बी, आई थिंक इट कुड बी अ वाइल्ड गेस, मे बी अ फ्रेंड हैज़ टेल देम, या कहीं से भी आ जाता है कि जी इतना टाइम बस ठीक है कर लो और बस फिर देखें क्या करेंगे. क्या कोई टाइम फ्रेम होता है आप समझती हैं कि लिए कुछ कम से कम, या इस चीज़ को असेस करने के लिए आपको थोड़ी एनर्जी लगानी चाहिए फर्दर मोर, कि अगर आप किसी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में चले गए हैं, या वेरी राइटली सेड कि ठीक है जो भी काम कर रहे हैं, चाहे आपको अभी लग रहा है कि मेरा फोटे नहीं है, बट सिंस यू आर ऑन जॉब यू शुड डू दैट, यू शुड डू इट वेल. देखिए क्या कोई टाइम फ्रेम का ताल्लुक है इस चीज़ से कि आप कुछ बना लें कि जी 6 महीने बस या 7?
सवाल है ये, बड़ा मुश्किल सवाल है, बिकॉज आई थिंक एवरी पर्सन इज डिफरेंट. एवरी पर्सन हैज डिफरेंट नीड्स एंड डिफरेंट आउटलुक्स एक्सेट्रा. इफ यू हैड आस्क्ड मी फॉर द older generation or my time, उसमें तो ये बहुत क्लियर होता था कि जी 3 साल से पहले इसने कितनी जॉब छोड़ दी, मतलब सो अनस्टेबल. ठीक है, अब वो नहीं है. वेरी ट्रूली स्पीकिंग वो नहीं है. आई मीन, यू नो, अगर किसी ने 2 साल भी कंप्लीट कर लिया, ओके, दैट्स फाइन, दैट्स लाइक वाओ. नो, आई डोंट थिंक आई कैन पुट अ नंबर टू इट, बट आई वुड जस्ट से दैट एटलीस्ट गिव दैट जॉब एंड दैट ऑर्गेनाइजेशन अ चांस. Understand it, you know, and understand what it's about. अच्छा, अगर आपको वो organization पसंद है, तो you try to stay there, you try to move to something else that you like. And if it is a good organization, you like it because it's good, right? So if it is a good organization, it will also recognize your potential and your interest and where your skills lie, and you will, inshallah, get moved to where is a right fit. ठीक है ना. so give the organization a chance.
तो ये बात भी कही जाती है कि अगर आपकी फर्स्ट जॉब या शुरू की जॉब में अगर आपको लगता है, जैसे आपने ऑर्गेनाइजेशन की बात की, इफ़ यू गेट एक बड़ा रोल किसी एक उतनी मेच्योर ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में ना होना ज़्यादा सेफ है, या एक छोटा रोल एक बड़ी मेच्योर ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में होना? लोग कंपैरिजन करते हैं इस तरह से.
अगर आप मुझसे पूछेंगी तो मेरा ख्याल से छोटा रोल मेच्योर ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में. क्यों कि आप बड़े होकर छोटी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में आप बड़े हैं, राइट, बट अभी तक आप फ्रेश हैं, आपको मौका ही नहीं मिला कि आप खुद कुछ सीखें.
यस.
सो व्हेन यू आर जूनियर इन अ वेरी स्ट्रक्चर्ड प्रॉपर मैच्योर ऑर्गेनाइजेशन, you get a lot of learning. And I think that learning that we get from people who've been in the right, you know, giving you the right framework to work in, etc., that is most beneficial. And again, coming back to myself, so I stayed at Engro for a long time, right? Engro ke policies, processes, way of work, culture, everything was so good, so well planned out, structured, etc. कि आज भी आप एंग्रो के एम्प्लॉयज़ देखें कहीं पर भी होते हैं, तो एक डिफरेंट माइंड सेट, देयर इज़ अ डिफरेंट थिंग. तो आप ये एंग्रो हो गए, ICIs हो गए, यूनिलीवर हो गई, तो ऐसी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन जो है ना, वो एक वो क्या कहते हैं उसको, एस्टैब्लिशमेंट्स हैं. व्हाट दे टीच यू is you know
that grooms you,
grooms you. It's not comparable. तो अगर आप छोटी सी भी चीज़ हो तो आप बहुत सीखेंगे. So to answer your question, yeah, small person in a big place is definitely better.
Good. अच्छा, आपने मेंशन किया कि थ्रू आउट आपका जो करियर जर्नी था उसमें आपकी एक सोच थी कि दैट वॉट एवर यू डू इट वेल, ठीक है, वंडरफुल तरीके से करें एंड वट. लेकिन जब लीडरशिप का ट्रांजिट कर रहे होते हैं, मैं ये क्वेश्चन पर्टिकुलरली करूँगी फॉर द पीपल हु आर एक्चुअली अभी मिडिल मैनेजमेंट लेवल पे होते हैं एंड दे लुक अप टू, यू नो, गो अप टू द सीनियर पोजीशंस. क्या आपकी टिप होगी उनके लिए देखिए, नेक्स्ट लेवल पे जाना इज़ द वन थिंग, लेकिन वहाँ जाने के लिए क्या चीज़ आपको ऑफलोड करनी पड़ती है और क्या नया आना चाहिए? so that you can do justice with that, leadership level.
Yeah. So as recently heard some very senior person of one of these big organizations that I just mentioned, and she's been a CEO and moved on, etc. and everything. और उसने मुझे बताया, उसने कहा, my mentor told me that look, you are holding on to everything unless तुम अपने पास जगह create करोगी, तुम ऊपर नहीं जा सकती, right? Because सारी चीजें तुम्हारे पास हैं. So what do you get rid of? What do you give up? You give up a lot of operational stuff. You have to, right? you always have a team who's the stronger team, right? Who's strong. Every person has their own skill, has their own strengths. What you have to do is build your trust in them.
Yeah.
Okay? You must learn to trust the people that you have under you. क्यों है आपके नीचे? क्योंकि वो वही काम करेंगे जो आपने उनको गाइड किया हुआ है. तो आप उनको operational
delegation would help.
Of course. So everything should be passed on if you need to get strategic or if you need to get beyond. So
okay. Good. And one more thing, because you would surely be interviewing the people for the leadership positions. एक और बहुत सवाल होता है कि जब लीडरशिप लेवल पे आप किसी को दिखना चाहते हैं, what you look into that, what is something that you look for? कुछ आपने बात की, एक तो बिहेवियर एस्पेक्ट हमने डिस्कस कर लिया, लेकिन इसके अलावा जो कॉमन ट्रेट्स आप समझते हैं कि दैट आर जनरली बीइंग लुक्ड एट फ्रॉम योर पर्सपेक्टिव, क्या होते हैं?
So the common traits you already mentioned, but I would say drive, able to look at a big picture, to know what is, if I'm hiring for a particular industry, I would like that जी आप सिर्फ अपने बारे में ना बात करें, आप पता हो कि इंडस्ट्री में क्या हो रहा है, आप किसी इंडस्ट्री से आए हैं, what change did you bring about? What was the newness that happened while you were there? So yeah, that is what I would be assessing in that individual. And how much do you know about the industry that you're really coming into, or that you're actually getting out from? Because अगर चले आप पिछली इंडस्ट्री का भी जानती हैं, तो for me it's good because I know that you are interested, you've learned about your industry, and you will do the same in mind.
Sure.
So yeah.
Exactly. And having the benefit of your experience in HR, अब जो current world है, so आपने you mentioned about COVID and work dynamics have changed a lot. इस वक्त अगर जो HR professionals अगर हमें सुन रहे हैं, उनके लिए आप क्या कहेंगे कि what are the further specialization की हम बात कर रहे होते हैं कि generalist role से they have a lot of branches. जो लोग अपना करियर HR में दिखना चाहते हैं, any tips for them कि कौन से areas में under the umbrella of HR they should get more equipped, or they should work on, or at least try to learn more?
Shazia, that would depend on where a person's interest lies. If you are interested in comp and ben, that's where you should get into. If somebody is very good with people, understanding them, talking to them, and sourcing, talent acquisition में जाएं. So I mean that it's not one advice, a generic advice कि कौन सी फील्ड में जाएं. आप वहाँ जाएं जहाँ आपको अपनी स्ट्रेंथ नज़र आ रही है. कि मैं तो बहुत लोगों को लिंक्डइन पे जानता हूँ, आई नो सबके शजीर जानता हूँ, तो yes, then go into talent acquisition. That's the place for you, because you can find a person like this. You'll be very successful. You're a numbers person, go into numbers, go into comp and ben, and understand that what's happening in organizations, what you can drive and everything. So if you've been into training, or if you like to, if you've led some kind of talks and you feel that that's your thing, आप ट्रेनिंग में जाएं. So वो एक thing will not fit for us.
जी, तो the question is कि हम जब रोज़मर्रा अपने जॉब में होते हैं तो सुबह से शाम में काम कर रहे होते हैं, जनरली हमें वो मौका नहीं मिलता या ख्याल नहीं आता कि हम उस चीज़ को जानने की कोशिश करें कि वेयर द जर्नी इज़ गोइंग. ठीक है, तो आपकी कोई टिप्स आप देना चाहें कि ठीक है हम ऑक्यूपाइड तो हर कोई होता है, लेकिन हाउ यू मेक इट अ पॉइंट कि हाँ यू हैव दैट थिंग एक्सप्लोर्ड, और उसके लिए फिर काम किस तरह से कर सकते हैं?
So देखिए, there's one thing, networking, right? So while you are, say, part of HR, but you can't certainly run in a silo. Networking, I'm not saying कि हर से जाकर मिले, but at least you know what's happening in your department, and you get a feel of what you might be interested in. Ask for opportunities for small projects. For instance, if you're really interested in training, say, I'd like to run a training on, say, communication skills. right? Simple topic, pick up something simple, and maybe for a junior level, but raise your hand and add on and say, can I do this? ठीक है, उससे आपको खुद भी समझ आएगी what it entails to do this kind of a thing. Do you have the knack for it? And if yes, if you do, it will also be very visible to other people who see you delivering over there. ये training का हो गया, acquisition है, talent acquisition. You know, you can speak to your boss and say, you know, I'm well connected with people. अगर आप हमें department में jobs बता दें और कैसे how you going about it, maybe I can support. So you know, open yourself up to more things. If it's say talent management, you can take a small role into that. That you know, okay, maybe you know you're assessing high pos or you're doing other stuff in terms of succession,
assessment centers and all.
Yeah. So raise your hand and ask to sit in one of those assessment centers. If it's not at a very senior level, you may just be allowed in. If there's some legwork that needs to be done for these things, you can you know, say that you know I'd like to contribute and I'd like to do this legwork. मैं कर देता हूँ, ये कर देती हूँ, तो आप करें. That will give you a chance to understand what is in that particular role, how are you enjoying it or liking it, and it'll also get people to see what you are about, you know, a little beyond your small hole. So those were some of the tips that you know you can go a little beyond and ask your boss for opportunities. For projects.
Wonderful. I think wonderful tips that you've just given. आपने भी कुछ जिक्र किया evaluation का, या you just talked about talent management. इसमें I would surely want your comment. I mean, would like you to comment on. HR पे एक बहुत बड़ा ये भी discussion बहुत दफ़ा होता है कि जी जो promotions होते हैं या you know talent management होती है, some people grow, some people don't grow, and owners उसका HR पे भी काफ़ी जा रहा होता है. How do you see कि HR का role उसमें कितना है actually? First question. Second question, that how HR can make it more trustworthy process in the organization.
The as much objectivity as you can add, that's as much trust that you can build to your process, right? Subjectivity hogi, so your trust is gone. It's like what you like versus what I like.
Yeah.
And if you're more senior, then you know it goes what you like. Objectivity hogi, number ranking hogi, you know, grading hogi, then nobody can debate it. If I give you an example in terms of say talent management, right? There, one of my organizations, what we did was that when we were assessing say talent for CEOs one level down, right?
Sure.
I mean, sorry, N-2 को कर रहे थे.
Okay.
पूरी N-1 बैठी. We debated on cross-functionally for each
the
person.
calibration kind of
Yes.
discussion. Yeah. Okay.
And I brought my hypos and you brought your hypos and he brought his hypos. But what were the reasons that I think he's hypo? Does he fit the parameters? Yes.
Yeah.
Now I display it to everyone. हाँ ये तो parameter fit आ रहा है. मुझे 10 लोग कहेंगे कि जी I'm sorry, but at this time he didn't display this. At this time he did this. At this time he did this. I will get knocked out. So
Yeah.
I can very nicely put parameters 10, 10, 10, 10, 10. But if I have a committee of people sitting, it won't fly.
Yeah.
The objectivity. So that objectivity can be brought in. And once you have that objectivity that comes in, the transparency comes in.
Yeah.
And then you promote or give more benefits or you give more leverage to people who have proven themselves and across the board. So not only because the CEO and his direct managers feel so, but because the 3 other people in the room also say, yes, he's the guy. You know, we put him on that ladder.
So you talked about, I mean, pretty much if I sum it up, so there should be a process. So
Yes,
well,
of
the
course,
process needs to be there, and some steps that can make the transparency in. For example, you mentioned about the panel, the parameters. के आपका panel हो and from different functions, and people talk about that very openly. That also brings some trust into that, and then the objectivity for sure that you just mentioned. Yeah, perfect. So. सायरा की क्या अगर कहें कि पूरी जर्नी से क्या सीखा, व्हाट इज़ द लाइफ लॉन्ग लेसन दैट यू कैन मेंशन, तो ना पल्ले मान लेते हैं कोई चीज़ कि हाँ जी ये चीज़ मैंने सीखी है एंड दैट हैड हेल्प यू एंड दैट वुड हेल्प यू इन फ्यूचर.
तो एक छोटी सी बात है, दैट एवरीथिंग दैट हैपन्स फॉर अ रीज़न, एंड वी नीड टू बिलीव इन दैट. right? It's वो एक स्टीव जॉब्स ने कहा था कि you need to connect the dots, and as I feel we never connect the dots while we are living it at that time, but when you sit back, when you pass that time, those dots connect and you know what happened, it happened for a reason. So what my learning is that हर चीज़ किसी वजह से होती है जिसमें कुछ अच्छाई होती है. आपने ये बिलीव करना है कि उसमें कोई अच्छाई होती है. अगर आप ये बिलीव ही कर लेंगे उसमें से आपको अच्छाई नज़र आएगी, बुराई नहीं नज़र आएगी, and you keep touching that path.
Wonderful.
Yeah. So
okay,
that is what I would say.
Well, no, that's wonderful. And then specifically आपको जो लोग देखेंगे खास तौर से एक women leadership का एक your image for that. So क्या females के लिए जो leadership level पे आना चाहती हैं और at times they feel कि नहीं, okay, maybe there are not ways or means for them, any advices, any tips that you can share to them, how they can make it?
Why would you say that they feel that it's not for them and they can't make it? पहला तो मेरा आपसे ये सवाल होगा क्योंकि
at times वो ऐसे state of mind में होते हैं बहुत. As a female, I mean, very good question that you just pointed out. होता है, आपने भी देखा है कि बहुत टाइम हम अपने environment को या मे बी द challenges surround us so much कि हमें लगता है कि शायद हम नहीं कर सकते. मैं इसी उस वजह से मैंने पूछा कि what's the tip for them?
So you know what, there are a couple of things. Of course, I'll talk about believing in yourself and doing all that. But I think what's very important is to have an ally, is to have a supporter, somebody who backs you up and who encourages you.
Okay.
Right? And I think for me, like, it's been my husband, right? He's always pushed me and he's always told me, go ahead, do it. I remember when it was the HR head for Abbott, I said, man, तो उसने कहा, इसमें क्या है, go ahead, And I went for like one interview and a regional interview and a regional interview. I mean, I went for like a series of interviews. Just by hearing that, what is your problem? Go ahead. So somebody, get an ally, get somebody who helps you through your doubts. Because I think, and also remember, जो मैंने पहले बात कही थी कि जो फीमेल होती है वो हमेशा 10 चीज़ें सोचेगी और अपने आप को कभी वहाँ नहीं सोचेगी. तो आप सोचें ना, why not? And be like the guy or look at the guy who's at a 60% and thinks he's 110. You are at 100%, right? So you have
self-doubt होता है इसका मतलब. Self-doubt is a reality, but you need to come out of that, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, good. Anything that you would like to share in the end? Before that, एक question जो मैं सबसे पूछती हूँ, पाकिस्तान में इस वक्त HR में particularly, इसके अलावा do you see the opportunities coming in, especially the people who will be listening to us? आजकल के environment में do you see it's happening, not happening, opportunities हैं, नहीं हैं, क्या है?
देखिए, I do see opportunities for HR people. I see them opening up. I am on a couple of HR forums and काफ़ी positions post होती हैं, हर level की positions post होती हैं. And not only Karachi, Lahore, Islamabad, maybe to the level of Faisalabad also, HR positions and senior positions as well. So, जो हमारा ख्याल है मुल्क का या whatever, we have this, we need to think positive. When you see all this, when you see the number of positions that are open these days, and they are, मैं आपको एक दो बता भी दूँगी अगर आप interested हैं, and they are, so yeah, I think there is scope in HR.
Okay. Thank you very much, Saira, for making your time. I know it's not that easy to spare some time and have such discussion, but I'm pretty sure the discussion that we are having would surely help a lot of people out there. And
thanks for listening our podcast series. चैनल को लाइक कीजिए, सब्सक्राइब कीजिए और शेयर ज़रूर कीजिए और अपनी कीमती राय से ज़रूर आगाह कीजिए.
सेंडोज का नया नाम OBS AGP है. 2021 में हमने ट्रांजिशन किया वहाँ से यहाँ पे.